This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo video. This is your tropics update for Monday, October the 16th. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, we want to create a community here at Meteo Mundo, so as we get this video started, we'd love to hear from you. Drop it in the comment section below where you're viewing this from across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Look, the big story continues to be this area of development that is going to likely get going here over the next couple of days. I have the newest information on this Monday from the National Hurricane Center. We'll take a look at the newest models as well. Tropical Depression Sean is done, so it's now all going to be about this disturbance that is basically halfway between the Windward Islands and the west coast of Africa. So zooming in on this, again, we've been watching this disturbance the last several days. On Monday morning, it is still somewhat broad and disorganized, but the low-level circulation actually looks better on satellite and water vapor imagery this morning. That's why the Hurricane Center is still fairly confident that this will continue to develop as it moves west. Again, it might be slow development over the next day or two, but a tropical depression and then a tropical storm is likely as it gets closer to the Windward and the Leeward Islands by mid to late week. Tammy is the next name on the Atlantic Hurricane Center's name list, the team name storm. So this is the enhanced satellite imagery. And again, we talked about how we've had a blowup of storms mainly west of the center of circulation over the last 24 hours. When I show you the water vapor imagery from the lower levels, you can see that there is more of a concentric turn now. We are beginning to see all four quadrants at least have some water vapor, some moisture associated with it. So it's slow development, but it does look a little bit better this morning. This is the upper water vapor imagery. And again, you can see there's just more moisture laden air and there's not a lot of wind shear. And the water temperatures in the Atlantic Basin are still outrageous, still running well above average. So there's a lot of fuel. So again, there's nothing overall that's going to be inhibiting this disturbance from developing. Let's take a look at it here. We'll kind of zoom out and show you putting on our spaghetti plots. First of all, I want you to notice the Hurricane Center has extended north and west this area of potential development. It now includes the Leeward Islands and portions of the northern Windward Islands. Our spaghetti plots are running on this, and we'll get into the models a lot more here coming up in just a couple of minutes. But again, most of them are showing a curve to the north and west. And the biggest question is obviously, and it always is how quickly does that curve develop? And also, of course, what's the intensity of Tammy? Because that is still certainly in question with an area that has yet to form an actual true center of circulation. So I want to zoom in real quick and just show you that this area in red, again, is from the Hurricane Center. It's the potential development area. So it now goes all the way as far south as St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, Kitts and Nevis. So it just shows you that at least for the Leeward Islands, we need to really start thinking about the potential for a tropical system moving into our area late in the week. Again, the actual track and just how strong this might become is certainly still up in the air, but I've been looking at a lot of information. I'm going to break down exactly what I expect coming up in just a couple of minutes. But just note again that now as we're getting a little bit closer into time, the Hurricane Center has pushed this potential development area off towards the west. It's a double-edged sword, and what I mean by that is this. We don't have anything that's developed yet. That's good news. But the problem is now that we don't have anything developing, what does develop is going to be developing closer to the islands. So we're not going to have as much lead time as we would have if we already had a tropical storm and we kind of had a little bit better idea of what might be heading to the islands. I also want to show you guys just how far away this is. We'll go from our friends in Martinique just as a good center point and then out towards the center of circulation. And just to show you that we're still more than 1,500 miles away. All right. So we have some time to monitor. There's your development area, but that's the kind of potential that we're talking about. All right, let's get into what's going on with the GFS model today. Now, the GFS model was pretty weak and ragged yesterday. It's gotten a little bit stronger again. It's still trying to hold on to the solution of keeping whatever Tammy becomes to staying away from the islands. That's great news, but I'm going to show you again some of the different models coming up. Zooming in just a little bit closer. I'm taking this out 7 days. That's all I need to as it passes north of the islands by that time frame. But again, we certainly have a developing system out of the GFS model, more than likely a high-end tropical storm, maybe a weak hurricane, and then moving north and west. But again, it does keep it away from the Leeward Islands. That's, again, the ensemble mean or the official forecast from the GFS model, but some of those model members still take it out west. It's a close shave regardless. And the GFS, as far as track, is a bit of an outlier. Remember, I showed you those spaghetti plots, which were a little bit closer to the islands overall. But again, the trend from yesterday to today is the GFS model to be pretty consistent with the track, but also strengthen Tammy a little bit more compared to what it was yesterday. But as I've mentioned before, overall, these models are better with the track than they are with the intensity with a developing system, especially one, again, that doesn't even have a closed center of circulation as of yet. I'm throwing on the wind profiles from the GFS model. This model is going to loop in time and get going. Again, when you look at your legend, we're looking for the areas in red. Those are going to be tropical storm force gusts. They're not sustained winds, but when we look towards the core, we're looking for those gusts to show us that we would have at least a tropical storm, and that's exactly what we see on the GFS model. And again, you can easily see the wind profile on our model here. Again, we invest a lot in our technology here at Meteo Mundo, and you can clearly see that the GFS model brings a wrapped up system, but keeping it east and keeping the strongest winds away from the windward and the leeward islands. That would be fantastic news, but that is only one model solution. I want to take this and swing this out of the way because let's get into some of the other products that we have. Now, first of all, this is the GFS chance of development of a tropical storm. We are, again, basically at what, 90 to close to 100% on the GFS model. So the GFS model says we're going to get a tropical storm, and that's going to be named Tammy. Now, I'm going to show you the European model here. This is our European model pressure plots. I showed you this yesterday. I've slowed it down a little bit. First of all, I want you to notice that there is still a very tight cluster of tracks. So the European model is still very much in agreement with all of its ensemble members on the track it's trying to take Tammy, but the intensity is absolutely all over the place. More models now compared to yesterday actually have this system not even developing, okay? And the others are slightly weaker. So the European model is weaker, but closer to the islands. So again, there's a lot of disagreement with our two global models right now. European model is weaker overall, but closer to the islands. The GFS is stronger, but a little bit farther away. And that kind of holds true. Look, if we get a more wrapped up system, there is the opportunity for that recurve quicker to the north, but we're still so far out in time. We really have to pay attention across all of the islands. I'm talking about even the southern windward islands, but certainly the northern windward, the leeward, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. European model tracks. You're not going to see as many lines this morning because, again, not as many members of this ensemble model are showing actual development. But you can see that track. Generally speaking, if it gets going, it's going to take it right across the windward and the leeward islands. And this time frame, friends, is going to be in the late week, early weekend time frame. The models are in pretty good agreement with that being kind of where we expect the time frame to be. On the GFS model, you're going to see a lot more lines because the GFS model is more confident going into this that we are going to get a tropical system develop. And let me say this, the European model is the outlier. Remember, the Hurricane Center is confident there's going to be a tropical depression or a storm developing. The GFS model is with this. I'm not showing you the Canadian model because I don't have a lot of trust in it, but it is very much in agreement that we get a tropical storm, at least as of well. And actually, its forecast track is closer to the European. But again, you could find anything you want to in these models, but that's why I'm using my experience to kind of break down what I expect out of this. And at least as of now, we have to kind of take both the GFS and the European with a grain of salt, but note that the trends that we see from day to day, and we're gonna have a lot more confidence in this once we get a wrapped up core, but again, closer to the islands once that happens because it hasn't happened as of yet. On the European model intensity, again, you're still going to see a couple of the models try and make it a hurricane. It's not like the European model is just obliterating this system, but generally speaking, we keep it as a weaker tropical storm. And then on the GFS model intensity plot, again, much more in agreement to at least get a tropical storm. But notice that even the ensemble mean, meaning the average of the GFS model, is teetering on category 1 strength. And I'll say this again, the models aren't very skillful with the intensity of a system at this point in time, and they've really, over the last several years, had a very hard time picking up on the extreme ocean water heat content, and most of these systems develop into a stronger storm than what these initial intensity models show you. I do want you to notice that the time frame that we're talking about headed towards the northern windward, the leeward islands, and the Virgin Islands, again, would be on the higher end of a tropical storm, potentially even getting stronger as it moves north of the islands. Okay, friends, I want to get back to this real quick because a couple things to note. First of all, again, we have live streams that are running here. If you go to the Meteo Mundo homepage and you click on the live tab, we have our live radar system running live. First of all, it's going to give you live real-time radar, live real-time satellite data, live real-time tropical tracks. You'll see all of this and it will be updating in real time. We'll also have temperatures across the Caribbean and the Bahamas updating all in real time. So drop into the live tab, take a look at the newest information. You'll see this radar and this satellite running constantly for you there. Also, I'll be doing some live streams as we go through the week as this develops and gets closer to the island, so look out for that. So if you want to do me a favor, like this video, but if you want to do yourself a favor, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get the latest videos and the latest forecast on what's going to become Tammy and across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. We'd certainly appreciate it. But again, do yourself a favor, get that. Again, look for the live streams, look for the live videos coming up. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in to the latest video right here